My name is Michael Jackson. I'll serve as your moderator today. And we have going to have a very interactive educational forum here today. We will have an opportunity in the next few minutes to meet the candidates running for various offices for this district and for this area. And for that, we want to thank you, candidates, that took time from their busy schedule on a Sunday to come and share with us and get an opportunity for this area in this community to meet you as candidates. We'll first have our official welcome by Mrs. Kelly Ramirez, who is the president of the Student Council from Bohoke High School. We welcome Kelly.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Glades Educational Candidates Forum, presented by Bohoke High School, Glades Central High School, and Delta Sigma Theta. Our expectation is for you to be to make informed decisions about candidates and the amendments on the 2014 general election ballot. We hope you enjoy this forum and get out and vote 2014. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Could we have representatives from both Bohoke High School and Glades Central High School to stand at this time, please? That's what it's all about. Our youth and having an opportunity to have an exchange with them right in the middle of the process is something that's not seen every day. Our timekeeper today will be Jeranisha Lewis, a 12th grade senior from Glades Central High School. Jeranisha.
I'm Adrian Wyllie, Libertarian candidate for governor of Florida. And just out of curiosity, how many people have heard of me? Okay, all right, well, good. Well, some of you, this is going to be pretty informative. You actually have a third choice in the governor's race. A little bit about me. I'm a Christian husband, father, small business owner. I've been married to my wife, Dawn, for 23 years. I have 2 boys, aged 21 and 15. I'm just a regular guy, middle-class Floridian. I'm not a multimillionaire like the other two. And I'm someone who's just got fed up with government. I'm tired of all the corruption. I'm tired of them taking away our economic freedom, our individual liberty. Tired of, basically money and power being what the rules today in Tallahassee. And I intend to do something about it. I intend to ensure that we have real transparency in Tallahassee. And we go after the special interests and the big corporations who are buying off the politicians. That's what I intend to do as governor of the state of Florida. I have a comprehensive economic plan that's going to make everyone's life better. It's going to ensure you get to keep more of what you earn. It's going to ensure that we're not wasting money all over the place. Your money. We're going to let you keep it. So that's my plan. I encourage everyone to take a look, do your research, do your homework, find out that you do have another option, and go to WyllieForGovernor.com, WYLLIEFOR, governor.com. See what I have to say. Make an informed vote.
And next we will have Eva Webb to come before our front.
Hello there, I'm Eva Webb, and I'm running for re-election to the Palm Beach Soil and Water Conservation District. If you've never heard of the Soil and Water Conservation District, that's not a surprise, though many of the past supervisors that have served have come from this area, such as Dr. Orsonego, Joe Orsonego, let's see, another one would be Wayne Boynton, Fritz Stein. These are some of the people that have served in the past, and you probably haven't heard of us because we're a non-taxing organization, and that's one thing that we have strived to keep. We want to operate at no cost to the public. How the soil and water operates is that we work on a basis of if there is, for instance, at no expense to the public, we're a program-driven organization. There's only about 4 employees, and that might go up or down depending on the type of work and how much work that there is to do. We've worked with farmers in this area, farmers in the eastern side to help conserve water and natural resources, but not just agriculture. We also work with home communities, housing authorities. We've worked with municipalities in order to help them conserve water, which is our natural resource. I work full-time at another job because this is a non-paid job. I serve at my own expense. All of the supervisors do. We're all dedicated to conserving natural resources, and because of that, we have opted not to also tax you as citizens of Palm Beach County. I don't know of any soil and water conservation district in the state of Florida that taxes the public. They're all program driven. Other states, they do tax. They do have the right to tax. We levy taxes like a special district, but we do not. And I'm from this area. I came to Belleville.
Our next speaker will be Kesnel Theus Jr.
Good afternoon, everyone. I thank you all for coming out. I'd like to start off by thanking the Pahokee and Glade Central High School and the lovely, beautiful ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated for putting together this event. My name is Kesnel Theus, and I'm a candidate for the Port of Palm Beach Commission. I recently graduated with my bachelor's in legal studies at Nova Southeastern University. I am an aspiring attorney. I work now as a Social Security and Veterans Disability advocate. I'm a small business owner and an administrator to Theus Acupuncture Medical Center. One of the things that I did after filing for run was reach out to the county commissioners, the commissioners, councilwomen, councilmen, and mayors in my district. What I wanted to do was sit down and figure out what is it that you'd like to see more from the port. How is it that we can make sure that we continue to collaborate and assure that the job continues to get done? Because as a small business owner, I know what it takes to and make sure that we execute action now. I'm not on a 5-year master plan, I'm on a getting things done now. Ladies and gentlemen, at the age of 25, I bring you young blood, a fresh new start, a fresh new voice. I'm willing and open, I'm humble, and I make myself ready, available to be useful to you, to make your voice heard, to be open, create accessibility, make sure that we hold those accountable, make sure that we continue to increase youth and community involvement here in our district, make sure that we continue to increase jobs, and make sure that we are hiring employees here in our district. Ladies and gentlemen, vote for me on November 4th, vote for a fresh new voice, vote for young blood, vote for Kesnel Theus on November 4th, candidate for the Port of Palm Beach Commission. I thank you very much for your time.
Our next speaker will be Andy Schaller.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for putting on this forum. My name is Andy Schaller. 24 years ago, I made this district my home. I've invested my life savings into the district twice. I'm a business owner that's owned his own business, electronic banking company, for the last 20 years. I've served more than 550 businesses across the U.S. and Puerto Rico. In 20 years, I've never raised my rates. I have no contracts, so I'm as good as my last at bat. If anybody was unhappy with my service, they were free to walk away. Not like a government where you have to wait 4 years. And I haven't advertised for business in 17 years because all my advertising is word of mouth from my customers, bringing me more of their business and other customers. In the last 6.5 years, I've sat in more county commission meetings in any one given month than all of my opponents combined have in the entire 6-year period of time. I care. I got involved with my own personal issue with the county. They were going to do something for the first time in 100 years that was anti-neighborhood. 6.5 years later, I can tell you right now today, if you look at my truck, it's covered with dirt because they're fixing the problem that they created almost 6 years ago. I've been through 13 county commissioners, 5 chairs, 2 mayors, and I built a unanimous consensus to have a unanimous board decision to get something done. My background puts me in a unique position to handle others' money. That's what I've done for 27 years. My experience at the county says I can get it done and I won't go away until it's done. The reason I'm running is I sat where everybody else has and I still sit there. And I got fed up and I said, I know there's a better way. 6.5 years later, I've proved it. 400 homes in my neighborhood can prove to that as well. Thank you.
Next, we will have a representative speak on behalf of Michelle Santamaria. Please welcome Marcia Andrews.
Thank you and good evening to everyone. And thank you to Pahokee High School Student Council and Glade Central. But I told her I would be delighted to stand and represent her in this community, this wonderful community. Michelle grew up in this district, District 6, and attended the local schools. Michelle is an attorney, a former assistant state attorney, and she owns her own small business. She's very successful. She has her own company, and she works closely with law enforcement, training police officers on doing a better job. Her role is to make sure our community is a lot safer and want to make sure that we decrease crime. Michelle's top priority is to work for more jobs and more job training. She wants to make sure the Glades area gets everything everybody else gets. She is an independent woman. We're running as an independent because she wants to answer to everybody. She's committed to fixing the roads, replacing aging water pipes, and making other improvements for the Glades area that we so desperately need. Michelle will work with me, Marcia Andrews, and the rest of the school board to improve our schools and make sure there are vocational programs all across the area. Michelle supports the inland port, and she will create jobs, work to create jobs for the Glades area. Michelle supports tax incentives to lure the businesses to this area. She's someone that can relate to all of you. Wonderful personality, very experienced, very smart, but on the ground and wants to meet each and every one of you personally. She has an office located on Martin Luther King Boulevard, right there at 715 in the shopping center. She has a lot of surrogates in the community that would like to tell you all about her. And she's on the ground in the neighborhood herself. Thank you.
We'll have next before us Melissa McKinlay.
I especially want to thank the student councils. I started in 9th grade. I got into high school and couldn't figure out, even with an older brother and sister there, where I was going or what was going on. So rather than not know anything, I joined student council, and that's where I got my start, including a term as class president, carried that on through college, did an internship in the legislature, and kept on going, and here I am today. I just want to tell you a little story. I got into the county commission race because last September, 5 of the county commissioners, including the current county commissioner, made a budget decision to cut funding for our youth empowerment centers. And although the Belgrade one did not get cut, the funding there, it was on the original list. And those are places where you as students and your friends can go after school and get tutoring and assistance with homework. And oftentimes the last meal that you will get before you go back to school the next day. And I looked back, and I'm a mom. And for those of you in the room that don't know it, I'm a single mother. I've got 3 kids. They're 16, 14, and 13. The only one in the race that's raising my children in the community. And as a mom, I thought, that's unfair. They cut that funding because some of the cities weren't able to pay their fee for the Inspector General. And while I definitely support ethics and integrity in government and the funding of our Inspector General's office, I feel you hold children harmless. So that's why I got into this race. This is not my first time. I didn't show up here 4 months ago. I've been out here for years, since I started working for Senator Nelson about 5 years ago, working on issues with the Army Corps and the members of our congressional delegation. I now work for the county in their legislative affairs office, and have been part of the team that went to Tallahassee and brought back, just this year alone, $5 million for road improvements that should start by the end of the year. $1 million to match some of the local funding for infrastructure improvements for our water pipes, and $500,000 just about to reopen West Tech for high school students at Crossroads, Glade Central, and Pahokee, and those students, I believe, will start here on Tuesday morning. I've been working on your issues. I've been doing it quietly behind the scenes. I'm ready to push forward and be on the front, and I would love your support in November.
Next person to speak would be Peyton McArthur.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. It's so nice, the student council. When I was in high school, we had two very dynamic leaders. One was called Ted Kennedy, and one was called Martin Luther King. They both gave their life that year, but they were fighting for the same things. They were fighting to make the world better. And that's really how I got involved. When I went from there, I went to the University of Florida, and I just kind of snowballed and kept going. I went to Washington, I worked on a presidential campaign, and I'm very proud of the students. This is the beginning. You're the future, and you can make a difference. My name is Peyton McArthur. I'm running for the Port of Palm Beach Commission, and I'd like to do some specific things at the Port of Palm Beach. I would like to have transparency by having all of their meetings shown on the internet. I would like to have an interlocal agreement with the Inspector General to put the Port of Palm Beach under the Inspector General. And I would not like to waste $88 million on dredging when the port can't afford its share. The port's co-share would be about $33 million. The likelihood of the port coming up with $33 million is slightly greater than the likelihood of me coming up with $33 million. I think we have to live within our budget, and I think we can make a difference. And I applaud the kids because you are the future, and you can make a difference. And remember, when Florida votes, Florida wins.
Our next speaker will be Congressman Alcee Hastings.
I'm especially grateful that the students from Glade Central and Pahokee High are here. I first came to the Glades, a few people know this, some of you may not. I came here at age 16 on the back of a migrant truck to pick beans in Pahokee. I'm from Altamont Springs, and that was farm territory. We used to cut chicory and strip celery, and a significant number of our farm interests. I hold very dearly this area of the congressional district for the reason that I recognize that there are greater needs. A former opponent of mine became the mayor and now is in Congress, and I told her, Lois, you know, West Palm Beach doesn't need as much as Belgrade and South Bay and Canal Point and Lewiston because they don't have the same tax base. And therefore, when we could earmark, I spent a considerable amount of time trying to bring resources here. I won't go into those details. The gentleman asked me a moment ago to say something good about my opponent. I can't say anything bad about my opponent, and therefore I only have good things to say. I do know that he has been extremely involved in juvenile justice in this community, and I consider that to be a good thing. Let me tell you why I'm a Democrat, and make it very clear to you why I'm opposed to Rick Scott and for Charlie Crist. Democrats originated the Works Program Administration, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Women, they support a woman's right to choose. The Equal Rights Amendment came from Democrats. The Civil Rights Amendment, we are going about the 50th year this year of that act. We oppose discrimination against homosexuals. Democrats supported the Clean Air and Clean Water Act. The minimum wage. The governor of this state says that he cringes when he hears the words minimum wage. Well, he gives me the heebie-jeebies for that reason.
And the last speaker for this particular section of today's program will be Mr. Jay Bonner.
I'm Jay Bonner, and I'm running for Congress, United States House of Representatives, Florida, Congressional District 20. I'm a professional land surveyor, and before receiving the call to run for office, I was a youth pastor at my church, race team leader, corporate secretary, and Sunday school teacher. And I was, as Congressman Hastings said, is that I've been engaged through my ministry work with the Department of Juvenile Justice. My purpose in the DJJ system was to engage the faith community to get involved in the reduction of crime. And I had the great privilege to bring down Reverend Jeffrey Brown. The Sheriff's Department asked, I have a not-for-profit, Dominion Ministries, Inc., which I'm the president of. and we were asked by the Sheriff's Department to bring Reverend Jeffrey Brown down. There was what they called the Boston Miracle, and a group of pastors got together and started walking the streets up in Boston, and they engaged the gangs that were there. And in doing so, what they were able to do was gain a relationship, and they called for a season of peace. They asked from Thanksgiving to New Year's, can you just stop killing each other for that time period? Well, that season of peace in Boston lasted 2.5 years, and it's now referred to as the Boston Miracle in the justice system. The Sheriff's Department heard about it. I had the great privilege of bringing down Reverend Jeffrey Brown, and we had a meeting out here in the Glades. We had many of the pastors that came here, and I'd like to think that possibly had some part of in terms of prayer walks that are happening in the streets. We just had the second prayer walk that was here in the Glades. And if you've been involved in, in terms of what's going on, we walk the streets, we ask the Lord to end up bringing forth justice and pray for those that have been hurt. And so I'm trying to do the same, but at a congressional level, and that is to end up bringing the faith community together to save America instead of just saving our kids in the DJJ system.
I have with me here my lovely wife, Kimberly Walls. It's an honor to serve.
From the city of Douglas, South Bend, Colby.
Good afternoon, I'm Marcia, your school board member representing this district.
Candidate Andrew Schaller, I have a question. How do you plan on improving youth education?
I believe that the youth and the knowledge of the area, along with the adults, need to be in combination of making sure that our children have the same experiences and the same benefits that we as some younger people, or I should say as older people had, and also to fill in the gaps where we didn't have that opportunity. The best way is to listen to people and take your experience of where you came from and help apply that to the situations. I came from a neighborhood where the houses right out my front door were condemned, unfit for human inhabitants. Not all of them, but some of them. I came from a poor mill town, factory town, things of that nature. But I made it. And the way I made it is because my parents sacrificed everything for my sister and I. My sister's a teacher in the Watts district of LA. I came to Florida and I started my own company. And you have to take the foundation of reality and help children have a true hope. 4 years ago, down the street at the Elks, I sat there and I listened to the now county commissioner say he was going to unite the marinas of Pahokee, Belle Glade, and South Bay and turn it Torrey Island into an area like Captiva. There was a big round of applause. Has anybody seen anything along that lines? Next question. Is there any reason why 5 years ago, when Michael left the position, your office out here in the Glades has not been opened by the county commissioner? I don't have all the answers, and no candidate that ever stands in front of you will have that. However, the answers are in this community, and you have to be part of the community. 4 years ago, I asked the crowded room at the Elks, if anybody in that room, other than the bus full of people that showed up with that candidate, if anybody recognized the sitting commissioner. One person did. That's not my plan. My plan is immediately, my first action in office is to open up the Glades office and make sure that it's staffed on a regular basis. You need to look the person in the eyes, not just one time during election season, but continuously, regularly, and you need to know that they are there for you. I ran 4 years ago. I said the exact same thing that I will say here tonight. This area is not treated the same way for services or even in the same mindset as the other side of the Green Bridge. I said 4 years ago that if you vote for more of the same, you'll get more of the same. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over. You need to hire somebody who has a personal proven track record of accomplishment. both at the governmental level and in a personal level. Somebody who says, I have done it financially, not I will do it. You need to elect somebody that brings enough of both of these areas together to actually have the respect and do what they say they're going to do and be a powerhouse on that commission for you. That'll be me.
My name is Adrian, and I go to Peyton High School, and I am in 10th grade.
Hi, my name is Webb Martinez, and I am a sophomore at Peyton Middle Senior High. And my question, I would like to address it to Ms. Webb. Why should we vote for you?
Okay, I am from the city. I came to Bellblade, Florida in 1968. I was 15 years old. My mother brought us here because her and my father got a divorce and they wanted to get as far away from him as she could. And because agriculture was all she knew, we basically became migrant workers. And that's how I came here. The first housing we lived in was the tin shelters at the Bellblade Housing Authority. So I have a vested interest in this community, and I worked here for many, many years before moving over to Waxahachie, but my kids grew up here. I grew up here, I went to school here at Bellblade High School. I know the community, I know the people, and I know some of the issues regarding the agriculture issues. That's been mostly what I've worked in. I want to say that I'll represent you fairly and honestly in the government. And, you know, as I said before, there are other good candidates that are running as well. So, I mean, I would say, you know, just look at everybody and vote your conscience. I'm asking you for my vote because I think that by serving the number of years I've served in this position already, this will be my fourth term, I believe. And I think you need somebody doing this job that understands it. When I first came on to this board, the gentleman that served, there was never a woman before I served on the board. They really weren't engaged in the actual conservation arena. They really didn't understand the issues of water conservation, and what we did was work to broaden the scope of work to include best management practices and helping farmers to fund those best management practices, which improves water quality and control, and also helps with water quantity. We've worked with the University of Florida, and by my knowing all these people and being able to network, I feel like I think we've made tremendous strides, and I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm not used to talking about myself. I'm usually talking about someone else. But I think that I bring a lot to the table only because of my knowledge of the community, agriculture, and also, you know, I live here in the community. I live in Waxahachie now, but I do understand that we all need to do our part to conserve water, and also I still work with many youth. When I lived in this community, I was involved in the volunteer income tax assistance, and I did that until 1990. From like 82 to 1990, I was a volunteer at the library doing income tax for low income and elderly. That was something I really enjoyed. You really don't need it anymore with all the different programs that are out there, but
My name is Blackman. I'm a senior at Glade Central High School. My question is for Congressman Alcee Hastings. How do you plan on ensuring the furthering of education of high school students for those who are interested in it?
Most of what happens in education doesn't come from the federal government. Only about 7% of the resources to our respective entities around the country come from the federal government. One thing I think the state needs to do is to restore bright future to allow for college students to go forward. One thing that the federal government can do, and that I am a proud original co-sponsor of, is a measure to refinance the loans of people who have gone to college already or who are lower rates for those who are going to go to college. You know,
I've never met a politician that didn't say that he or she favored education. I'm against education. You don't ever hear that from any of us. But at the very same time, among the things that's needed is a better understanding of our involvement as parents with school systems. Schools generally have extraordinary people working there as principals and school teachers. But one of the failings over the years, Dr. Greer and I used to talk about the old days when parents, when you beat the child in school as a teacher. I'll tell you a quick story. I have the added time. I had a rubber band once in the 4th grade, and it went into the back of a young girl named Ora Bowie, and Miss Foster saw it. Miss Foster beat me with the palmetto and took me home. She had the only car in town. She took me home and waited for my grandmama to get off work. My grandmama beat me. My grandmama waited for my mama to get off work, and my mama beat me. My daddy was a chauffeur and didn't get home until 9 o'clock at night, and I heard him ask Mama, where is he? You know, I thought these people had gone crazy, but discipline is something that we took out of the schools. I don't advocate corporal punishment, but if parents are going to go to a school and argue with the teacher, and if you can't get children to settle down, and I might add there are extraordinary students at Central and Pahokee. I have been there. I have seen their efforts. What we need as much as an enhancement for them is something to cause them to stay here after they graduate rather than have that brain drain that continues. All of these schools need more resources. You should be very proud of Marcia Andrews and the school board for bringing 2 brand new schools to this community. And both those schools are being constructed by black contractors. And I think that's something that's needed. But it boils down to reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's what it boils down to. And what our schools need, in addition, is more technology and training like here at West Tech.
And my question is for Theus. I want to know, what will you do to ensure that programs are brought to the Glades community?
Thank you, Ms. Wilson, for that question. As I stated before in my opening, one of the first things that I did after following to run was reach out to the hierarchy, reach out to the county commissioners, the mayors, the commissioners, and I asked them, what is it, how is it that we can come together to ensure that the job is going to continue to get done? And I also reached out to the different businesses out in this area. One particularly was Florida Crystals. I reached out to Florida Crystals because there was a project that was proposed making Glades an inlet port, which would really boost the economy out here in the Western community and create over 20,000 jobs here in this district. So one thing, as your next port commissioner, if I have your vote, is to make sure that that job is back on the table and that job is put forth so that we will have jobs growing and continue to come here into this district. That's what I plan to do as your next commissioner.
Just Adrian Johnson, Pahokee High School junior. My question is for Jacob. If you're elected, what are your plans for the Tri-City?
We're looking at it, the needs that we have. One is water. We've had a mention in terms of $1 million that was coming down. From what I'm hearing, the cost of the revamping of the water system is more than just $1 million. We're talking about a couple, like 200 million is the words that I've heard. So I would work in terms of trying to end up bringing the physical resources down here to be able to have that. One of the things that I've also heard in the Pahokee is in terms of the marina and access to the marina with the boats and being able to get the Corps of Engineers to be able to dredge and bring a channel down that would end up making that marina accessible so that we would be able to bring in the boats and that into that marina. That's actually working with the Army Corps of Engineers and making that happen. But the real, and I think this is probably the most important thing, your congressman has a potential in terms of leadership. And we're looking at, and I've walked the streets here in the Glades, and there is some fear that we have that's in the community. And talking to many we have a need of leadership that would end up bringing forth this reduction of crime. I was at an event that we were having, and just the night before, there had been a gang shooting, and no one came to the event because everybody was afraid in terms of repercussions that would end up happening. And the solution is not going to end up being law enforcement. The solution is going to end up being you and I rising up and saying no to the crime and stepping forward and making it happen. The Sheriff's Department says that we can't arrest our way out of the problem, that the way in which that we're going to solve the problem is that we're going to have to rise up as a community in order to say no to it. Part of my reach has been through the faith community and engaging the faith community to take control, because basically we need to take our streets back is what we need to end up doing. And so as a leader at the congressional level, I would be able to stand with you and help you in terms of organizing and bringing the resources necessary to end up looking at reducing the crime. Also, there's homes here that still have blue tarps on the roofs. And you're looking at in terms of the needs that we have for housing. And there, where does it end in terms of what the needs are and what the potentials are in terms of what we can end up doing here? So I do not necessarily have the answers, but as a networking and as a congressman, I would work with all of you and with those in Washington to bring the resources here.
My name is Kelly Ramirez, and I'm a senior at Pahokee High School. And my question is for candidate McKinlay. First off, I want to say good job on bringing all those projects to help improve our youth in the community. But I want to ask, what are your plans to improve the lives of the senior citizens in the Glades?
A couple of years ago, actually the same team that I worked for was successful in getting an appropriation from the state to relocate the senior center over to Quiet Waters and then to reopen the old senior center as a Western County Homeless Resource Center. Unfortunately, even though that money was successful in getting into the budget, Governor Scott vetoed that. I don't think he understands sometimes, and I think a trip down here last year where he actually got to see things firsthand opened the eyes a little bit better. But a problem that we face as far as securing dollars is people think of Palm Beach County, they think of Palm Beach. And this district has been inadequately represented for a number of years. And so just having somebody in the office that is out there, that knows how to work with the relationships with Tallahassee and in Washington, who can work with the 3 different city councils in the area, and that can work with other organizations, nonprofit and in the private sector with our businesses, to try to bring projects to the Glades is much needed, and it's something I'm dedicated and committed to doing. Senior programs, continuing to make sure that the money is put in the budget for the feeding programs, for the senior centers, trying to find some infrastructure money to improve those senior centers, supporting programs like senior friendship centers, Meals on Wheels, all those types of things. And what I would really like to do, and one of the interesting proposals about that new senior center over at Quiet Waters would have been located next to one of Belgrade's gyms. And that way, you would have had the young kids in there, like yourselves, working in the gym, playing in the gym, and working side by side with the seniors. And I think that benefits both generations. So anytime that we can bring our seniors together with our youth, where our youth can teach our seniors computer skills and workout trainings and the latest trends on nutrition, the seniors can serve as mentors to our young population. One of the things that we face here in the Glades, I've heard the Business Development Board say that about 50% of the population between the ages of 18 and 34 have a record, unfortunately. And I've been involved in juvenile justice issues for over 15 years now. And we can bring all the jobs that we want to the area, but if we can't fill them with local employees because they have a record, then we aren't doing our job. So any type of program that we can initiate that provides mentorship to our young people that also benefits our seniors is something I'd advocate for.
Tremendous amount of federal funds currently being worked on and restoring the levee, the whole entire levee. Now, if those waters are not released somewhere in some process, then there's an opportunity to cause some serious concerns with the lake. What are your views on that? How do you respond to that? And what's the alternative plan to having the releases done?
Relationship to the so-called inland port, that is now U.S. sugar. It doesn't really have a direct correlation to the port. What they're trying to do now is to come up with a project that will be housing and industrial. Palm Beach County has a very critical need for more industrial land, and that would serve that land. That would serve that purpose, and also the housing. So unfortunately, I have to say, the Port of Palm Beach really can't do that. What really comes down to make the original concept of the inland port, what they need is a rail connection from the north down through Route 27. If that comes to fruition, it will be by the Florida Department of Transportation. And I know that's something they're looking at. One of the things I would like to see in the Glades, but it scares me at the same time, because you know sometimes a cure has unanticipated consequences. But like for instance, if we could get moderate, low-income housing in the Glades, not necessarily just for our current residents, but for retirees. Think about it. Retirees don't want to drive all the way to the coast or all the way to Wellington. If we could get them to come to the Glades, the beautiful lake, the beautiful weather, but guess what? Where would they shop? They would want to shop in the Glades. They would want their service people, plumbers and whatnot, to be from in the Glades. I think that's something we have to look at in addition to all the other things. But I wish I could tell you we're going to make the inland port great and it's going to do all these wonderful things, but I'm afraid the Port of Palm Beach isn't really involved in that concept. Thank you.
Congressional District 20 is Lake Park, Riviera Beach, West Palm, goes down the railroad tracks, comes out Southern Boulevard, takes in half of Henry County, runs down 27, goes to Broward, takes in about a mile and a half on each side of Commercial Boulevard. It's a huge district. Lots of needs, lots of desire, lots of different people that are in different communities that are met. I want to thank you for the privilege that I have to be able to run for office and to be able to raise the needs that we have in this community in other areas throughout our county. And my purpose is to understand what your needs are and to bring those needs to those that could end up being able to fix them.
Democrats originated the GI Bill, the Veterans Hospital, the Voting Rights Act, which Republicans refused to allow for a vote to occur in Congress, and the Department of Education. I also want to take the Democratic Party to task about something. Thaddeus Hamilton is running for Agriculture Commissioner and Consumer Finance. And the Democratic Party has chosen to leave him off of their legislature, or off of their literature. And I think that's dead wrong, and I've made that very clear to them. Additionally, I can substitute for a substantial number of others, but please vote against Amendment 3. The next government will have an opportunity to stack the judiciary, not the Supreme Court, but every level, and that's wrong.
And I want you to remember, I really believe you can empower the system. Together, we can do a lot. Together, we can make a difference. I agree with Congressman Hastings. When people ask us about the referendums and things, we tell them vote no on 3, vote yes on everything else, and the judges. It's very easy. No on 3, yes on everything else. Remember, again, when Floridians vote, Florida wins.
Mayor Wilson, Mayor Watts, Commissioner Wilson, and Vice Mayor Walker for endorsing me, along with about 60 other folks that have endorsed me throughout this campaign. I'm very proud of all of that. I've had 20 years of service to our community, not only as a paid employee at all 3 levels of government, federal, state, and local, but also, rolling here, but also as a volunteer. I've given my time back to this community tenfold. I have trained women on how to be effective advocates to other legislative bodies on behalf of women, children, and family issues. And most importantly, my 3 kids. You know, the main reason I got into this race is to help their future and help the future of all of our kids, because I know it's a quote that we've heard for years and years thanks to Hillary Clinton, but it really takes a village, and I want to be part of that village.
Michelle Santamaria is grassroots. She has a legacy of helping the less fortunate. One of the things I didn't say is that she has a scholarship program that's called My Brother's Sister's Keeper. And she has given thousands and thousands of dollars to our students from all across the grades and all across District 6. But I must tell you, she's an independent spokesperson, and she will stand for what's right, for taking the Glades and the rest of District 6 to the next level. She appreciates your support. She appreciates your vote. Read and be educated about who she is. She can make the difference, a personable difference for all of us, our children and our adults. And I stand before you saying, a vote for her will be the right vote to make the difference for our community. Thank you.
Thank you again for this opportunity. This is a sports-minded community. You don't build a team on the first round draft pick because they haven't proven themselves. A lot of money goes, but they haven't been proven. You build a franchise around the players who do it time in and time in again. That's what brings home the Super Bowl. That's what brings home the brass ring. That's what makes your community better. Not somebody who says they're going to stand up here and cut their teeth on your dime and your learning experience while they're in office. I bring a combination of the caring, 27 years in this area. I invested. I'm the only one who didn't have to move back here to run for this office. I'm also somebody who never had anybody speak for me. I stand here in the middle of the people, and I won't be somebody who doesn't keep the office open. I will be somebody that will be here accountable. Every single piece of my literature has my home address and my telephone number, and it's wrong, and I've gotten letters, and I will change nothing about that other than be able to greet you with a smile next time.
Once again, I thank you all for coming. I thank our moderator. I thank the student council for both high schools as well as the deltas. Ladies and gentlemen, early voting starts tomorrow. We have to make sure we exercise our right to vote. Get out and vote. Encourage all your friends, family, colleagues, everyone you know to step out and vote. Once again, I bring you a fresh voice, a fresh new start, young blood. I don't have the answer to everything. I don't know everything, but I have the will to learn. I have the will and the desire to grow with this community and to make sure that I continue, that I make your voice heard and stay accessible and make sure that there's accountability. Vote for me tomorrow. Early voting, once again, starts, and those that don't get to the vote, early vote, vote for me on November. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I think that I bring a lot of knowledge to the table, and I would love to represent you again on the Solar Water Conservation District. I understand the area, I understand the issues, I understand agriculture and our urban needs. And of course, the Solar Water Report doesn't cover a lot of the issues that we discussed here today. We're strictly focused on water conservation and water quality issues. And in doing that, I probably carry the most knowledge in that area. Not just my board, but we have very knowledgeable people, but also against my opponents, I believe that I probably carry more knowledge on that. I have been involved in a lot of the cost sharing investment programs. I was also recognized early on and brought it to the attention of the Soil and Water and Department of Agriculture that the urban population contributes to the pollution or the nutrients that we see in our water systems, and that is something that we addressed in the Soil and Water Conservation District as well. Not this area, but the urban areas.
Say that, yes, I'm the underdog in this race, but I'm currently polling 15%, and the way things have been going lately, we have a legitimate chance to win this election. You're not going to agree with everything I say, but there's one promise I'm going to make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always shoot straight. I will answer your questions. I will come out to your events and tell you exactly what I think. My opponents, not necessarily. They're going to talk in typical talking points or just attack each other. It's time to change that up. If you want to change your government, you first have to change the way you vote. I'm asking you this time, take a stand. Think outside the box, vote outside the box. On The third name on your ballot, Adrian Wyllie, Libertarian candidate for governor of Florida. I ask for your vote. Thanks very much.
I just want to say that I am so proud of the students. Because I retired and of age, young people, you need to stay focused because you'll be making plans for another generation. When you find yourself falling off the cliff, reach out to someone else to pull you back up. You're taking precious time today from your lives. That's because you are concerned. But remember, when you find yourself sliding and becoming unfocused, reach out to somebody to grab you and pull you back into what you need to be thinking about. That's very important in your life, very important. To the candidates, thank you so much for coming. We heard your platform, and you made a commitment. You all heard what they had to say. You've been elected. Make them, talk to them, and encourage them to keep their promises. Now you know how they promise you, right? So you have to make sure you remind them of what they said and when they said it. To all of you, thank you for coming. I barely made it, but thank you for coming. It's a good feeling to know that you still have people interested in the Glades. This is home for me. My mother had 7 siblings and 5 with college educations. Others because they worked at the Library of Congress in Washington and because he retired from the Army after 30 years. That's saying a lot. Everybody here have opportunity, but we need help. Everybody's not focused. You know that in your own families. But we have candidates who are going to help you get your children and our children back on track. We have candidates who are making all these commitments, what they're going to do. You got to remember those things that they elected. You got to remind them. It can go either way. They can be telling the truth or telling you, you know what. You need to really take note of what they're saying.
We would like to say thank you to all of you who took the time out to come out and learn and be informed about the candidates. And thank you, candidates, so much. I'd like to also thank my close and good friend and classmate, Mr. Michael Jackson, for moderating this session. We too have to take this choice now to make a valid decision starting tomorrow on early voting to make that sound decision. Your voices do count. Thank you so much.